After the release of Halloween 2, the series was originally supposed to go in a completely different direction. The idea for the rest of this franchise was to make it an anthology series, and each movie would have told a different Halloween-themed story, which meant no more Laurie, no more Loomis, and no more Michael, which honestly is not a bad idea. It would be like what Trick or Treat did, and would have been interesting if they went in that direction. So a year after Halloween 2's release, the filmmakers decided to try this idea out with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. This was John Carpenter and Deborah Hill's final involvement in the franchise before Carpenter returned for 2018. Like with Halloween 2, they serve as producers, and Carpenter once again did the score. This time the directing chair was handed down to Tommy Lee Wallace, who went on to direct the miniseries with Tim Curry in 1990. Now, what is this movie about? What story did they go with for this new angle? Halloween 3 tells the story of Dr. Dan Chalice, who ends up teaming up with a young woman named Ellie after her father is murdered. The two realize her father's death had to do with this scheme by a novelty mask company called Silver Shamrock. And it is up to Dan and Ellie to stop the owner, Colonel Cochran's plan, which will cause the deaths of millions of children on Halloween night. Now, how did the audiences react to the premise of this movie? Well, Halloween 3 was a critical and financial failure, and people had an issue with Michael Myers not being in it. Over time, it has developed a cult following, which I am a part of. Now look, when I was a kid, I hated this movie. I remember renting it from a Blockbuster and being very disappointed with it because I didn't see Michael Myers in the movie, and being so young and getting into horror, I just assumed all Halloween movies had Michael Myers. But then I watched it again as a teenager, and I grew a whole new appreciation for it. I acknowledge Halloween 3 is a pretty goofy and ridiculous movie that does have flaws, yet over time, it has become one of my biggest guilty pleasures, and I still enjoy watching it today. So of course, let's start with the positives. Tommy Lee Wallace does a really good job directing this movie and gives us some very memorable shots. I especially love the silhouettes of the trick-or-treaters walking against the orange sky, and when the kid is murdered watching the commercial and his head turns to bugs and snakes. I really like Carpenter's score in this movie. I really like the techno angle they went with, and that Silver Shamrock theme song is very catchy, and after a while will get stuck in your head. The acting is solid from the cast. Even though his character really isn't the most likable, I liked Tom Atkins' performance as Dr. Dan Chalice, and Stacey Nelkin does a really good job as Ellie. But easily the best performance in this movie is Dan O'Hurley as the villain Colonel Cochran. I fucking loved this guy. He is a great villain, and he does a great job playing the duality of the very nice, welcoming guy and the methodical genius. I also really like his plan of returning Halloween back to its sacrificial origins, and he's doing this by using things that children love: Halloween and television. Of all the movies in this franchise, this one actually feels like it uses the Halloween setting to its advantage. Now look, yes, the movies use Halloween as the setting, but this actually feels like a movie you can watch on Halloween. The deaths, while ridiculous, are very entertaining. The ones that stand out to me are, as previously mentioned, the kid getting his head melted by watching the commercial. Seriously, before the 2018 movie, this movie had the balls to kill a kid, and the homeless man getting his head torn off by one of the henchmen. Now it is time to get into the flaws with this movie, because as much as I do enjoy Halloween 3, the flaws cannot be ignored. Dr. Chalice really isn't the most likable character. He's an alcoholic, a womanizer, and the only reason he seems to be invested with the stuff going on with Silver Shamrock is to get some pussy. No, I'm not even kidding. Ellie's father is murdered, and he just decides to help her just because she's hot. They know each other for one day, and then all of a sudden they're making out and they have sex twice. The relationship between Dan and Ellie felt very forced and out of nowhere, and there was really no need for it. There's also a running gag with Dan's ex-wife, played by the same actress who played Annie in the first movie, where he keeps breaking his promises to be with his kids. He calls her about it, and she bitches him out. It happens like 3 times in this movie, and she even says, "Your kids don't even remember your name," which, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty funny, but after a while, this running bit gets old very fast. Also, it really isn't explained what happens to Ellie at the end of this movie. Dan escapes his captivity and sees Ellie strapped to a table. They defeat Colonel Cochran and escape, and they're driving away, and she attacks him and is revealed to be a robot. So I guess Ellie was killed and then replaced with a robot duplicate, but it's never really explained what happened to her after she was kidnapped. It really is a shame this movie didn't do well critically, because I absolutely would have been cool if Halloween went the anthology route, but people wanted to see Michael Myers. They wanted to see the same thing over and over and over again. But still, Myers or no Myers, I recommend giving Season of the Witch another chance, ignoring this as a part of the franchise, and just accept it as its own thing. It's not perfect or the best Halloween movie, but it's not bad and deserves another watch. Overall rating, 3.5 out of 5. By the way, I just remembered something in the middle of editing this video. Turns out Michael was in this movie. See? There he is. But yeah, just wanted to say that before I left. See you in the next one.